Welcome back, folks, to my YouTube channel, Ken Miguel Reed. In today's episode, we'll be talking about I Who Have Never Known Men. And with today's guest is the usual Taylor Rice and Sasha.
The special.
The Sasha.
Noted-
The Sasha.
The Sasha because he can't pronounce her last name.
Exactly.
I don't want my last name.
That's okay.
I didn't get a choice. He just said it in a video and I was like, front and last.
All right, let's get down to it. Spoiler-free review, but trigger warning, this book will have a lot of weird themes that might make people uncomfortable. Mostly me. Okay, this book is about a girl in the cell, cage, whatever you want to call it, with bars, with 39 other women. They have these guards watching them. They can't touch each other. They can't kill each other or kill themselves. They all shit publicly. They sleep. They eat. They talk about vegetables all day. That's pretty much the book. I can't say much without spoilers. I'd say I thought the book, there were highs and lows. It was a roller coaster for me. There were parts where I thought it was getting good, then it would go back down. It got good again. I don't know. Didn't like the ending. I was confused for a lot of it, and I can't help myself but just wonder what would happen if they were all men instead of women. Like, how would the story be different?
I'm
not saying it'll make it better. Just saying, like, oh, maybe it would, because this book was just weird.
Now here's where I'm gonna lock in because part one of this is Miguel and I have this ongoing joke where every time he's made a video, he's gone, man, but what if there were just less women? What if women just weren't in the story or there were less women in the story? And then we were joking about that.
In my defense, this book there's only women.
Well, and Miguel can't stand that. And so he looked at me and he looked at me and he was like, I just can't help but wonder, like, would it be better if it was about men? And I was like, oh, that's a really funny joke. And no, he meant it. There was no irony to that. He means it. And the whole point of the story is partial. Like, this would be a very different book. It was about men. We'll get into that. I especially want to bring up, like, obviously, whenever you're talking about isolated society of one gender, the first book that comes to your mind is, Stranded on the Island. Lord of the Flies, which was the author wrote after coming back from his experience with war. I think specifically World War II. We'll have to check that. And then it was either World War II or World War I. It was one of them. And then this author wrote her story based off of her family who were Jewish in Belgium and fled during World War II. Mm-hmm. So it's two very different books that both talk about isolated single gender populations after the authors had experienced war. One of which from the perspective of women and one of which from the perspective of men. So maybe you should just read Lord of the Flies, Miguel.
I did,
and
for school. Didn't
also,
like it.
Another part of her backstory is that she had tuberculosis and was bedbound for a long time.
I know nothing of this author, by the way. I just read the book, came here to discuss.
And I would also like to say, I don't know if your edition of the book had it, but the one I was reading had a foreword in it written by another feminist author, I believe. But in part of the introduction, she says that, quote, in fact, femaleness is somehow both central to and almost incidental in this novel. Yes, there are men amongst the dead, but the novel would look very different were men to make an appearance beyond their roles as guards and dead prisoners.
My book does have the intro. I just chose not to read it. I just started on page 1 where the story begins. Sorry.
No, that's great. So that's the perspective. I think I read my book. We all read different versions of the book, I believe. And my book had a translator note at the end that had similar discussions.
Yeah. I think it definitely lends a lot more context to the book.
He didn't read it at all. You read it before the book. You read the book, darling, but you didn't read the like extra content. You read it before you got that before you read the book, and I read it at the end of the book.
I was also getting some spoilers because you guys would talk about it
around me. Yeah.
And I would half listen. So I had a vague idea of what was going on. Gotta say, real surprised you chose this book, Miguel. This is like feminist literature. Like if I were taking like a gender studies class, I would expect this to be like something I would read in the curriculum.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fascinating choice.
It's very different from the first two. That's why I'm taking over your video.
You're
For the
good.
next half, the next
Oh,
part
we're
of
starting
this
the
video,
spoiler review now?
that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, can we do our ratings first?
Yeah, of course. It's
Okay.
your video, dude.
Okay, ratings, 2 stars. 2.5 sometimes in the book where like it was getting good, but average like 2-ish stars.
I said 3.75, but I'm also a chronic liker of things, so I just enjoyed it.
Solid 3 and a reading experience, but I would give it a 4 for the discussions I can have about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my enjoyment of the book was a 3, but my enjoyment for talking about the book with people, I would say is a 4.
I also
The fish alarms. Brief appearance of fish alarms.
I also just love that a book that you can dissect.
That's
and
the thing, yeah.
There's like an enormous amount of content in this that you could go through and analyze.
I would love to sit through a class I would love a class discussion about this book.
I don't know if I would love it.
No, because you'd have to listen to women.
No, we love strong, independent women.
What
We
about
love
hateful women.
What about
Women that
what about
are
evil
not?
women?
I think. Okay, now let's get to the spoiler part of the review. Let's call this girl. She has no name. The main character. They just called her a child because she was the youngest one there. Let's call her Brittany. Free Brittany. That's like the whole thing. The whole shtick.
Free Britney.
Hashtag free Britney. I'm putting that on the thumbnail of the video. Anyway, I thought this book was getting good on like the mystery aspect of like what's happening with the world. Like, where are the men? What's up with these guards? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I was more interested in that than Britney's, not character growth.
Internal dialogue?
Internal dialogue. Because in the beginning, I was not angry. I was weirded out by her discovering her body and like experiencing an orgasm. Oh, like I'm gonna keep imagining these different scenarios. Like, oh, the guard's gonna like throw me in the wall like this, or oh, like blah blah
freaky
blah.
as fuck on her
Freaky
part.
as fuck. And then they got like to right when that was happening, they were like talking about like the whole vegetable stuff, and I was like, oh no, please, like don't do anything with like a cucumber, like with the eggplant or something. Like I don't want it to get that far, because before she wasn't even like really feeling herself. She was just like thinking it. But then I was scared that she would start feeling herself, and then she would use like the vegetables for something weird. And if it came out, it didn't come to that, thankfully.
There is a failed masturbation scene, but it's like 2 sentences, and it's significantly further in the book.
But I don't know. I kind of, whenever that would happen, I would just kind of not skim. But I was like, let's get something else. And then the other girls, they were like, oh, we're not gonna tell you how sex works because we like that we know something and you don't.
Well, it was also because like
And also, there's no men.
Yeah,
What's the point?
Yeah,
that
like-
was their like argument. Like it doesn't matter. Like you don't need to know.
Also, they felt like it would be cruel to tell her things she would never experience.
Yeah.
Like the first part of there's this whole discussion where like the girl, the main character, is annoyed and feels excluded and is mad at the women in the book because she feels like they are the secret keepers who've excluded her from everything. And later, whenever she finally talks to them and she learns about it, she's like, oh, they know nothing. They know nothing just like I know nothing. And the few things they do have, I kind of wish I didn't know. Like she's this whole part where she cries. And she says, I think it was better whenever I thought you had knowledge I did not. Like she like quote unquote forgives them, and she was like, I think about the anger of my younger self and I'm embarrassed.
I really liked the main character.
I did too.
I
thought she was okay.
You hated her.
You hated her.
You hated her.
I liked her towards the end after they were free.
When she was old and decrepit and couldn't be a bitch anymore.
There was no one for her to be a bitch to. Whenever she had been like beaten down by the world enough that she felt nothing but yearning for death.
No, but whenever she was like wanted to keep on exploring, but everyone else kind of gave up.
So
She was
you
like,
liked her as an adult.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's
That
fair.
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, she was she was an awful child, but also I would also be awful in that situation.
I don't know if she was an awful child. I think she was just kind of
Rebellious teenager.
She was a rebellious
Yeah.
teenager. That's all she was.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't awful. She wasn't mean to them. She didn't say cruel things. She was just like, I don't understand you. I don't understand this world, and nobody's helping me, and I want any power I can have.
Yeah.
I did want to point out too, I did understand a little bit of the resentment that the other women had towards Brittany. I'm calling her Brittany still. Because they used her as like a clock of how much his time has like passed. Like, because she was the youngest one. They saw her like development as like a woman, like as like for how many years they've been there. Also, she became a clock, literally. Okay,
Yeah.
but continue.
I want to give my reading on this.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really hard to not read this as like patriarchy being that cage and just being like a physical manifestation of that. But also, like, you look inside it and you see the women who they grow and learn about each other by communicating through recipes, which is pretty like par for the course when it comes to at least the olden days, how women were able to communicate and share their memories.
Well,
And
I feel like a lot of like bonding with the women in your family happens whenever you're helping them in the kitchen during mealtime and the men aren't around, and that's whenever you learn a lot of stories that aren't talked about in like the general house.
yeah, and I do think that, I mean, you have the idea that all of these women could have gotten along outside of the cage, but since they were in that cage, they could not, and that kind of gives you the idea of patriarchy, like separating women. But she started, like, the women started appreciating her and including her when she actually literally gave them the time of day, because she became the clock. So she started like actually giving them attention and credence to what they were saying, and that was what emboldened them to actually have a relationship and a conversation with each other, which I think is like pretty one-to-one to communicating between women, is just viewing each other on an equal level, obviously, but that can sometimes get a little...
There's also the conversation of like, for a long time she thought of the women as really stupid. There's a whole thing where like all of the women who were with her in there, most of them were mothers who didn't work in their previous life and stuff like that, or they worked as secretaries and stuff, and she often thought down on them for like their human emotion, for like the way that they interacted and stuff like that. And there's a quote that I think about all the time that I thought about during this book, which is, often father and daughter look down on the mother together. They exchange meaningful glances when she misses a point. They agree that she is not as bright as they are and cannot reason as they do. This collusion does not save the daughter from the mother's fate. Bonnie Birdstone. And that, especially, I thought about that a lot with how like she essentially, by the end of the book, resigns herself to the same fate and puts herself in the mental position that she judged the women for having as they got older and stuff like that. Like, she becomes that of what she resented.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's very fitting for the novel, because it does delve into like the internalized misogyny of that patriarchy like harbors.
Also, like in the beginning too, where they talked about it's like their appearance and how beauty. So I'm gonna like let me cook, but it might not be. I might not be actually cooking. I forgot how they worded it.
Burning.
Where like
the stove has no gas.
when like women would like dress up and like do their makeup like for the satisfaction of men. Like I don't know.
When beauty mattered.
Yeah, like when beauty mattered, and like they can't really like, because I know like their nails are super long. They can't really like keep their hair that.
I mean, they don't have showers or baths.
That's true. All they have is soap and water, but I think it's like buckets of water though.
In the book, I don't know if we've ever explained this, but they're locked in a cage, and they have no seasoning. They are given plain food. It is not a lot. They have bathrooms, but there are no doors. There's no nothing. They have to sleep whenever they are told, and if they do anything that they are not supposed to, a whip cracks next to them. That's apparent, and they can't kill themselves. They try many times, and they fail every time, and so they are forced to live in this mundane life where they can't even touch one another. They can barely talk. And so it also talks about like the natural hierarchy that falls upon women whenever they are put in close quarters with one another. And the clothes, even the clothes that they wear, they're these threadbare dresses that they make from like little scraps of cloth that they are given.
And they sew it with like strands of their hair.
Yeah.
But when I thought it was getting good was whenever it came to the very small section of the book, like with the plot where Brittany planned to get the guard's attention. Like, I'm gonna make him notice me. Like, I am here. Mm-hmm. Like, that'll be a win for me. Even that might not get me anything, but whenever she kept on staring at him and told the other girls to like just ignore what I'm doing, like I want to get his attention. Because this is like the same guard that she was captivated by, because she thought that the guard was like around her age, and who she started fantasizing about. But then all that went to shit when the alarms went off.
The fish alarm.
When the fish alarm. Oh no! Like when the alarms went off, the guards they all disappeared. The alarms went off as they were handing them their food, which like they left the key there, so then they were able to get out. And that's like when like this next part of the book begins, with like them leaving their cage only to be not caged again, but
basically still in prison.
Basically still in prison.
See, I so disagreed with that every time they said it, where they're like, we left one prison for another. And like, I get what they're saying, but I disagree with it.
No, but at least now they can actually like, hug each other. Now they can, I don't know.
They have control over
They have more
lives.
control.
They have more control.
They get more privacy. They make their own like rooms. They start building houses out of like wood. And also like the world is weird. Like the outside world.
It's very desolate.
Like it's just plains.
There's no
like,
seasons. Very few flowers. They can't grow any
Do you-
crops or anything.
Do you think it's on Earth?
No.
I don't think so either.
Well, not only do they multiple times they hint, which I thought was really interesting, because I don't think my first thought, for some reason the women come to the conclusion on their own that they must not be on Earth. They might not be on Earth when they're in the bunker, which is super interesting, especially given that this book I think was written in the 1950s. So this is also during like the big space exploration time period and all of that. And then later, whenever she finds a bunker, not a bunker, she finds, no, an actual bunker. The bunker that they lived in, they call cabins, but they come across an actual bunker. And there's a bunch of books on astrophysics that she finds them there. And the entire world that they look at, it's just hills upon hills upon hills and a couple of streams and nothing else. It made me think about when I worked on the West Coast and I just drive through the desert for hours and never see anybody.
Yeah, but they walked for like 5 years.
Oh, I think they're on a planet.
Yeah.
For sure. I think everything was alluding to the fact that they at some point had been moved to an alien planet.
Yeah.
I haven't really sat on long enough what that adds or takes from the story. The idea.
Because that just brings more mystery and like more allure as to like what's going on, like why are these women there, and like all the other like cells too. They encounter more cabins with more bunkers of like another group of 40 women, and then but like it would just keep on going forever. They would find so many of these cabins. They would find some with men.
Your favorite.
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe, what if they got out? Like maybe I don't know. I'm just kidding. I did like how it was funny how they wore togas.
Yeah.
Like the men wore togas. Like that makes sense. Togas.
This book made me really sad.
For Brittany?
Just in general. Like,
did you like put yourself in Brittany's shoes and then, or were you imagining yourself?
I think it's something about the death of humanity being so quiet. Which is obviously like probably how it's gonna happen. But also just like this last, as far as she knows, she is the last person alive. And there's not even like many insects around.
Yeah, she has a whole discussion at the very end, because the book is you're reading the book and it is a chronicle of her life that she's writing at the end of it. And the book ends whenever she decides to kill herself. But the last couple pages are her talking about how time doesn't really exist whenever you're alone. It begins and ends at your interactions with other people, and how once the last person died, time stopped for her, which is really interesting because there's this whole motif of her being the timekeeper. Of like, they first they first tracked time through how she grew because she was so young. And then they were able to track time through her ability of being an actual clock. And then she gradually, as she got older, said, time is not real. We do not experience it if others are not around. And so that's like her entire conversation at the end of the book, is her just being like, they're probably, I will exist again if this book is read, because then you and I will have had a conversation. Her writing the book is her last attempt at connecting with a humanity she's never gonna find.
Yeah, like, and also the way she originally did time was using her heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if time stops, not with her heartbeat, but stops with the people around her, that just means that, like, the heart of humanity in a way has died. Like, the heart of everything that's important and matters has died in her.
She's dying. There's this really interesting conversation where the main character, is supposed to show what a person who grows up in isolation and outside of society is like. Like, there's this whole conversation about how she is other, how she's different from them because she never experienced life.
Her period.
And she never gets her period. And then at the end of the book, she dies, or she assumed that she dies from cancer of the uterus. Like breast cancer and cancer of the uterus. So there's this line where she was like, how curious that I, who have never known man, are dying from this.
They said the thing.
They said, yeah, there's 2 times where
They
they
said
the title. And so there's this whole conversation about how at the end of her life, womanhood was still the death of her, even though she never experienced it. And like, you can't, never mind. Miguel, you compared this book to Mean Girls, and I want to know why.
I would imagine I imagine it more as like Mean Girls when they were still in the bunker.
Yeah.
Because all the girls were like, we're tough shit, even though we follow the same rules. Like, you need to tell us your secret. And she's like, why? And girls were like, why are you asking that? You need to tell us. And I don't know.
I can understand where you're making the comparison.
They are 2 movies that discussed female.
I would
like the
say that they are
cliques.
both feminist media.
I would say too.
But it is both like a struggle for power in female-dominated spaces.
The way that women struggle for power, specifically in social dynamics,
and it's much. I'm gonna be real. If this book were a short story, I think it would be very clear-cut and simple to say what the overarching message is, but because it was a 100-something page long book, it gets real muddy in terms of the messaging.
I think there are multiple.
Yeah, I just mean that, like, in order to analyze it accurately, you couldn't do it in, like, one paper.
No!
You would have to dedicate, like, months of study to accurately analyze this.
So your favorite part of the book was the beginning?
The mystery part.
The
like
mystery
whenever like she came up with the plan, like the clock was cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get the guard's attention, that was cool. Like, I thought the guard would have more to the story. I don't know
I thought
why.
there was gonna be a romance.
I don't know. It would have been funny if the guard was like a woman. That would have been funny.
I actually wonder if the male prisons had.
I was thinking about that, if they had male guards or if they had female guards.
Yeah, because then that would say something about that society.
But we never find out, and they don't leave behind any personal. I thought it was really interesting.
The memories?
That the one.
Oh, sorry.
No, you can talk about the memory. I was going to talk about how the book that she found on all of the dead guards in the buses was a farming almanac.
Yeah.
Like, it was like they all had a book, and the book was about gardening, even though there was no gardens and you couldn't garden on that planet.
The bus also made no sense too. We could talk about that.
But please talk about your.
Okay. What was I saying? I was talking.
You said the memories.
The memories. Yes.
Remember the memories.
Yes. These women remember their jobs. Like, some of them were like hairdressers, assistants, accountants, whatever. Some were teachers, but they also some of them would remember like their kids, and like they don't want to talk about their past because they don't want to talk about like whether or not their kid is still alive, etc. Like they remember what sex was like, but they don't remember how they got there. And then obviously for like Brittany, the child, she doesn't really have many memories at all. So she only knows the bunker. I just thought it was weird, like the whole, they were like this amnesia of like this like small amount of time, like how they got to the
It
bunker.
wasn't really a small amount of time. It was years.
They also
Really?
said that they
I thought it
were
was
heavily
small.
drugged.
well, that
for-
was only the like hypothesis that they landed on at the end.
That they'd been. I thought they had pills that they would make them take if they wouldn't go to sleep and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. But
Yeah.
like, I think they're like, they didn't know like they couldn't remember what happened or that like
That's
first
true.
few years, and they just eventually settled on drugs make the most sense.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess it just kind of went over my head.
No, to be honest, it was presented in a bit of a confusing way. It was like a throwaway conversation partway through.
Yeah.
I also think whenever the main character, Brittany, whenever it was her and the one other girl that was still alive towards the end, but she was mostly like waiting, because like they didn't like each other. That was established.
so funny.
But they had to be around each other because there's no one else. Because Brittany wanted to keep exploring more cabins, more bunkers. The other girl, forgot her name.
I think it was Laura.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
of the throuple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laura, or whatever her name is, she just wanted to stay. She was like, I'm tired. I don't want to keep exploring. She's like, fine. Like, I guess I'll wait till you die, I guess. So, I don't know how many years that was.
It was
but
22.
I thought it was 22 years after she died.
That she explored 22 years after they all died.
Yeah, and she was by herself for 22 years.
Oh, that might have been it.
I don't know how many years they were together. They might have said it, but I don't
She was 60
recall.
by the end of the book. She was in her 60s.
I don't know. I just feel like I would have been super weird on like how to talk to this girl. If like imagine being with someone that you don't like 24/7.
It wasn't even that they didn't like each other. It's just that they had no strong feelings towards each other.
I feel like that's the same as not liking each
Well,
other.
she said,
They made each other
she
uncomfortable.
Said dislike. She said she disliked her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like during the book, she was like, imagine you're dying and the only company you have is this girl that dislikes you. Like that's one of the whole conversations they have.
I mean, despite doing that, she still stuck around until the end of the girl's life.
Yeah. It was also, I really appreciated, there's this whole conversation that happens where the girl ends up mercy killing basically every single woman that was with her,
insane.
and having to put them away. And the only one there's this whole quote where she was like, I have found out that I am human and that I have loved and it has affected me, there's this lady who I'm going to call her substitute mom. I don't remember her name.
Anthea.
Anthea. I never remember anyone's names.
I remember Dorothy's name.
Anthea, yeah. Anthea is like her substitute mom, and she's like, I've done all I can to raise you, and I have loved you. And all she asks at the end of her life is to be held. And then she like dies in the girl's arms. And at the end of that, whenever she goes to bury her, she is like, I now understand why death affected all of the rest of them. And it was the first time that death had affected her.
Mm-hmm.
And she like really felt that moment. And that was another thing she used to set herself aside from all of them, was she was like, I do not understand their fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it is mercy.
Because they were all looking forward to death in different ways.
Yeah, she said that she'd never felt closer to any of the women than at the end when she could give them what they needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why it made me sad, too. It was like not in a bad way, but like, yeesh.
Yeah.
Because some of them asked to be mercy killed, even though there's nothing like physically wrong with them.
Yeah.
When they got depressed at the end, yeah.
But then she was like, there's
No.
nothing physically wrong with you. I can't do it.
She was like, I guess there is a difference between killing somebody who's about to die and somebody who isn't.
Mhm.
She was like, she had to wait 3 more years before I would kill her so that she could die, because her lover died. And then, because after they get out, a lot of the women pair up. And there's even a throuple, and they all live in houses together. There's a whole interesting conversation about that. And so one of the woman lovers dies, and she's like, could you kill me right now? Like, I have nothing more to live for. And she's like, no. I can't do that. I'm so sorry.
Didn't she like hang herself at night? Or is
No,
some-
that
No.
was a
Someone else.
woman with like uterine cancer or something.
Yeah, she
Mm.
was in
And-
so much pain.
Yeah.
It was after she killed herself that they started mercy killing the rest of them so that
Mm.
nobody would have to go through that again.
Yeah, because she asked Anthea, who had been a registered nurse in previous times, or took the exam, whatever.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know where the heart is, just find the most painless way you can possibly kill us. And she was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. And so then she went to Brittany and she was like, could you?
She's like, I'll show you.
like a couple fingers like below like the rib or something.
And at the end of the book, she kills herself the same way. Like she takes care of herself just like she took care of all the others.
I really enjoyed reading about her wanderings.
I did
But
as well.
I also got so frustrated because at the beginning of the book, she's like, what if I had thought to try walking down the road in the opposite direction? And she was like, big regret that I never did that. Certainly that must have occurred to you before the end of your life where you couldn't walk around
I wonder why
anymore.
she didn't try driving the bus.
Well, the bus was so broken down that the
Okay,
door fell off.
Okay, I didn't remember that.
And she also didn't know what driving was. That's the other thing where it's like, I didn't find it that strange that she didn't think to walk down the other side of the road because roads are a concept that she was never really taught. Like, I can understand why it never occurred to her to backtrack. She also, not too long after she lost the road is when she found the bunker, which had all of the books and everything in it, which I think distracted her for a number of years. And she hated, one of the things
Just the anxiety.
I know, every time I hear it, I'm like,
What am I doing?
it's not only what am I doing, but I'm like, what's dead? But it's not only that, it was like, she said she hated backtracking. Like, she found no point in it. There's like this whole thing where like she backtracks like once and she was like, I despise this.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if she understands the concept of like hallways, you can apply that to. I don't know. It's
frustrating.
It's frustrating
It
to
pissed me off.
I was so annoyed because like, what if there's something in the other direction?
I think one thing you have to accept whenever you're reading the book is this book is not a mystery. And to understand the book, to solve the mystery would fundamentally defeat the book.
See, I know that,
And
like,
I hate it.
I know that rationally, but I get so frustrated where it's just like, just tell me what's happening, and it never happens.
The book keeps its secrets.
It plays its cards very close to the chest.
I think I would go crazy.
Oh, I would have killed myself real
Me
soon.
too. I think I would have stayed until I was the last one, and then.
I think I would have kept traveling forever. I think the what if would have. I think I would have made it to old age if only because the mystery. Not it bumping into
Like, what if you meet
what if
someone?
it's the next one? What if it's right around the corner? Like, I don't think whenever she was like, even though she kept coming across the same stuff,
You never
just
know.
around the river bend. I think I would just be like, the next one is always going to be it. I'm known for like.
An optimist.
No, I was gonna say I'm known for kicking a dead horse until the body itself is dissipated.
Oh.
Like, like there will be no more horse and my foot will still be kicking because what if it's different this time?
Mhm.
Like,
It,
I'm stubborn.
like, I just want an answer,
I know.
and I know I don't deserve one.
I'm gonna research. I want to see if the author ever said anything more about what
I
happened.
can't imagine she did because that foreword that I was telling you about was published in like 2022, and this lady died in like
Yeah.
2000 or something.
The foreword I read was published in 2019, and she was like, the book keeps its secrets. And I was like, no! The author never said anything outside. Well, to be fair, this book didn't get popular until like, what, 20, 30 years after she died?
It only got translated, I think, for the first time in like the 1990s or something.
Yeah.
So
I was happy that she stopped like masturbating as she got older. Am I wrong? Well, you guys didn't
What?
say your opinions whenever she was doing it in the bunker. You guys didn't
Did
give
it
your
make
thoughts.
you uncomfortable?
It was just, I just thought it was, I don't know, yeah. Like, I would rather read like a sex scene or something, like smut or, but not whatever this is.
Well, she
Oh.
didn't. One, she
She
wasn't touching herself, so it couldn't. She called it the Great Explosion, which I thought was really funny.
That was
The
funny.
eruption.
She called
The-
the eruption. She called it the Great Eruption, which I thought was really funny. And for a bit, it was talk about eruptions.
Oh, I bet there's a bear getting into the fish ladder.
That would make a lot of
Does
sense.
the alarm go off when that happens?
Yeah, because sometimes it they clog it up and causes the water level to rise.
Oh. And now for the real discussion.
Pause. We're not done with the
Oh.
masturbation discussion.
Uh,
I wanted to say one thing about it because I didn't have a thought about it. Where I thought it was super interesting that she is like discovering herself and she's having she doesn't know her masturbatory dreams. She doesn't know what love or sex is. Nothing. She says something's supposed to happen here. I don't know what, but I just imagine a power dynamic. And then later, whenever she learns about what sex is, because she's like, why are these women laying away from the fire together? What are they doing? And they finally, and she's like, look, I know this doesn't help me, but I want to know. And they're like, I want knowledge for knowledge's sake. And she's like, okay, well, here's the anatomy. And then she's like, she goes into the water and she tries to like,
Look at herself.
manually masturbate because she wasn't touching herself. You couldn't touch yourself and like, you couldn't discover that part of yourself when you were in the bunker.
Mhm.
And she goes, I don't like this. She goes, this means nothing to me. She was like, I always knew I was different from everybody though. And so it's supposed to be another way that separates her from humanity, is that this isn't something she wants, except for at the very end of the book, not at the very end of the book, whenever she finds all of the men on the bus, she has a dream that night about being with all of them. And that is the only time that like her masturbation comes up again in the story, because there's like a brief moment where that happens and then nothing else ever again. I think it's supposed to show like her connection to men.
I think it could just be a connection to humanity in
Yeah.
general.
What if they were men instead?
So we're coming back to this again.
I'm just
Can we hear your thoughts first?
okay. Well, folks, it looks like Sasha and Taylor didn't want to hear what I thought. But granted, I didn't really have much to say anyway. I think the book was especially made for it to be just women rather than men, because then at least it'd be more interesting. It wouldn't have helped the mystery of the book, maybe, possibly. Our final opinions were pretty much staggered. We all enjoyed the discussion, mixed reviews on the book itself. Would I recommend it to people? Maybe my sister. I wouldn't really recommend it to friends. I'd much rather read like Maze Runner or like maybe Lord of the Flies, even though that's not that great of a book either. But I don't know, those are books that are kind of similar vibe, but this one's more thought-provoking. Thanks for watching the YouTube video. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed our discussion. Next video is going to be about Piranesi, me and Sasha. Look forward to that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Did you read the foreword or the afterword?
There was an afterword? No.
Seashells by.
That's what he does all the time. That's literally his
sells
go-to.
Seashells by the seashore.
My favorite is, would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck chuck could a woodchuck would?
How much
Much
wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck chuck
Betty
wood?
bought a bit of butter.
Betty bought a bit of butter.
Betty bought a
Sally
bit of
sells
butter.
seashells by the seashore.
She
sells-
I got a
no,
list
she
too!
sells seashells down by the seashore. Okay.
Sally sells seashells down by the seashore.
I keep telling him he needs to put together a compilation video of like stuff that's been cut out, and part of which is us getting ready for the videos.
We'll do this at the end.